I want you to translate the following text into American English, using everyday language they use. Don't add or remove anything, just translate it. South America is often remembered for crowded cities and tight routines. But there's one country that moves at a different pace. Small in population and generous in quality of life, it has a per capita GDP above the regional average. We're talking about Uruguay. On the map, it shows up quietly at the far south of the continent. In daily life, it adds up to long beaches, green plains, and an area of about 176,000 square kilometers for just over 3.5 million people. That balance of space and people creates a rare feeling of breathing room. If you compare it with places of extremely high density like Bangladesh, the difference jumps out: less crowding, more peace to get around and live. Before we go on, go ahead and click subscribe and hit the bell. That way, each new episode gets to you at the right time and nothing on this journey slips by. Soccer helps project the country far beyond its borders. Names like Fernando Muslera, Luis Suarez, and Diego Forlan wear the sky blue jersey around the world, and with them a sports identity that crosses generations. History also shows up in the symbols. Uruguay comes from indigenous languages and is often translated as River of Colorful Birds. On the flag, blue and white stripes reinforce the Rio de la Plata heritage, while the sun in the upper left corner lights up a nation-building project thought out since the early Republican years, an idea attributed to Fructuoso Rivera, the first president. A compact territory, a small population, and a vibrant culture, a combo that helps explain why Uruguay wins over the curious and travelers looking for a different tempo. Called the Switzerland of South America, Uruguay earned that reputation thanks to the rare combo of economic stability and lower income inequality in the region. But the nickname doesn't tell the whole story. Over time, the country built a tradition of social policies that put well-being at the center. It was one of the first in the world to adopt the 8-hour workday, a move that in practice shows respect for workers' lives. And it didn't stop there. Throughout the 20th century, it opened doors for women's political participation, allowing voting and candidacy since 1917, when many people were still debating whether that would even be possible. That liberal spirit also shows up in more recent decisions. Same-sex marriage recognized by law and since 2013, regulated recreational cannabis use. In education, the lack of mandatory religious teaching reinforces the separation between the state and individual beliefs. On the map of this story, Montevideo plays the role of the country's brain and lungs. As the political and economic center, it holds almost half the population, about 1.5 million people, and drives most imports and exports, tying Uruguay to global trade. Located in the south, the capital connects by ferry with Buenos Aires, opening a quick door to Argentina. On the other side of the Atlantic, there's no road that takes you straight there. International routes usually involve connections in Europe or the United States. And it's in this intertwining of social choices and strategic geography that Uruguay sketches its identity, a small country and territory, big in the consistency between values and everyday life. For those who love the countryside, Uruguay's interior holds a world of its own. There, the gaucho, an iconic figure of the continent's south, sticks to his routines across an almost entirely flat territory. On back roads, you'll come across ranches that open their gates so visitors can see cattle work, horse care, and the simple lifestyle that drives the day-to-day. The official language is Spanish, but near the Brazilian border, Portuguese shows up naturally. Among older folks, though, it's common for communication to stick to just one of those languages. As for English, outside tourist circuits and central neighborhoods, it rarely comes up, a reflection of an identity cultivated over history. The country went through steady transformation over the last 7 decades, partly inspired by European models of public organization, and had a big boost in the 1990s. Today it brings together a standard of services, education, and safety that puts it among the most pleasant places to live in South America, even though its relative geographic isolation limits its international projection. Before we go on, go ahead and click subscribe and hit the bell. That way each new episode gets to you at the right time and nothing on this journey slips by. For travelers, the pace is calm, distances are short, and the sense of safety is a bonus all its own. The economy connects with far-off markets like China, while its export base is still anchored in beef and wool. There are also gold reserves, a sign that wealth also comes from underground. Even so, earnings tell another story. The minimum wage is around 20,000 Uruguayan pesos, about $540 in 2023, and average income is around $800, indicators of a stable country, but still far from European salary levels. On Uruguay's sidewalks, the rhythm of tango cuts through the routine. Between traffic lights and plazas, couples appear in worn shoes with precise steps, and passers-by slow down just to watch. Around them, the urban landscape reveals a curious mix. Facades inherited from Spanish and Portuguese influence, with iron balconies and tall doors, share the scene with newer buildings and straight lines. This combination creates a setting where the past stays in sight while the city moves forward. On those same streets, artists turn everyday life into their stage. Guitars, paintbrushes, and juggling spark conversations and smiles. A direct snapshot of the Latin spirit that expresses itself with no fuss. Getting around is simple. Public transportation covers neighborhoods well, connects hubs and residential areas, and makes it easy to cross the capital from end to end. Every now and then, a horse shows up downtown, reminding you the countryside is close and rural. Life still leaves its mark on daily routines. Along the waterfront, the sea shapes winds and roots. In the central area, gray tones of concrete frame wide avenues, an aesthetic that evokes travel destinations and invites you to explore. That closeness to the countryside explains a lot about the Uruguayan table. Livestock is an economic and cultural foundation, and beef takes center stage on the plate. Thick steaks, precise cuts, blazing coals. On weekends, the country turns into one big parrilla. It's not just soccer that fires up a gathering of friends. Outdoor barbecue does the job with ease. Some numbers impress: more than 12 million head of cattle for about 3.5 million people. A bond that shows up in custom and flavor. Nighttime has its rituals too. Casinos are legal, and in Montevideo they're a constant draw, with lights calling out to anyone looking for a distraction. Walking around is chill. You can take photos without rushing, check out the corners and keep going. Your wallet, though, feels it. The country is known as pricey in the region. A burger can cost 300 Uruguayan pesos, close to $8. When we talk about cost of living in Uruguay, the sticker shock starts with the small expenses. A bottle of water can cost between $2 and $3. That feeling repeats at the supermarket, in rent and in services, to the point that the budget can surpass some regions in Europe. The result? For a lot of people, living there hits the pocket. On the other hand, as a vacation spot, the country positions itself in the premium segment. Efficient infrastructure, good services, and a relaxed pace that attracts those looking for comfort without showing off. Some visitors compare it to neighboring Argentina and say they feel less cultural buzz. Even so, Uruguay makes up for it with open, free beaches, no fences or fees, where public space truly belongs to everyone. That commitment to the collective also shows up in education. Policies that hand out laptops to elementary school students expand access and reduce inequalities, signaling serious investment in the future. Day to day, the human landscape flips between countryside and cities. There's a serene way of being that seems to rise from rural life and coexist with urban modernity. In Montevideo and other regional capitals, parks and waterfronts fill up with families, students, and tourists. At nightfall, cafes and bars get busy, and the street picks up a different beat, led by stylish locals who know every corner. Latin American hospitality makes it easy to strike up a conversation, ask for tips, and leave with new friends. All in all, Uruguay can be expensive for long-term living, but it offers an environment known for safety and respect for rights. One reason many call it the Switzerland of South America. Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Uruguay, drop a like, comment on what surprised you most, and share it with anyone who loves to travel. Oh, and tell me, would you take the leap and live there? Or do you prefer to just visit on vacation? Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next episodes. In the next one, I'll share practical tips to spend less without giving up the best experiences. See you soon!